I grew up in Kalihi Valley, and it's known as the Kalihi Triangle. It's bordered by Kamehameha Fourth Road, what is now the Likelike Highway, and Kaivai Street. Yeah, and what sticks in my mind is the family gatherings that my grandparents would regularly have with fellow Okinawans, our neighbors, his friends, and also visiting Okinawans that came to Hawaii. And I didn't realize, but my grandfather, his name is Kantoku Teruya. Kantoku is director. I'm not sure if that was an official title or not. But people would always come to pay respect when they came from Okinawa to visit Hawaii. And it always entertained them. And they would always finish off singing. So my grandfather was a samisheng maker and player. And they all were able to have their own little jam sessions playing Okinawan music. The one song that just stuck in my mind was Asadora Yunta. And
I met Steve back in 1957. We both attended Kaivai Elementary School. Steve and I also attended Japanese school. So the Japanese school was after the English school. We'd have 1 or 2 hours before class would start. So what did we do? We played tackle football outside on the grass. I asked Steve one time, what did we learn? Steve says, not too much. I said, I know what we learned. We learned how to play football. So that's what we did, all the way from 1st to 6th grade in Japanese school.
One of the things that my grandparents and parents kept me active in was in athletics and sports. So I played basketball and baseball, and there were some coaches who came down to recruit us. And one of the schools that I was asked if I was interested in attending was Mid-Pacific Institute. A bunch of us got financial aid. Wouldn't call it athletic scholarship, but financial aid. And that's where I continued to play basketball and baseball and other sports that the school offered. So when I look back, I think that was, for me, an inflection point in my life, going to Mid-Pacific.
So, through all the years that I know Steve, we never had any arguments or fights, with each other. We probably got into a lot of fights with other kids, but not with each other. We just were fierce competitors who just happened to be good friends because we didn't know any better.
So after graduating from the University of Hawaii in business administration, one of the professors, he was a marketing professor, and one of the statements he made was, if you're interested in finances and want to stay current on what's happening in the financial world, then you ought to get into banking. So that kind of stuck in my mind because I actually liked numbers. So after I graduated, I applied at the usual banks, Bank of Hawaii, First Hawaiian Bank, American Security Bank, and I applied to Finance Factors, not knowing that they were not a bank. So I joined Finance Factors. Then I realized they were not a bank, they were a finance company. My plan was to work at Finance Factors like all the other bankers, get the training, and then leave to another bank. But for some reason, Finance Factors kept me so engaged, they kept me moving. Became a branch administrator where I met Russell Lau, who was on the mainland, who was asked to come back. So Russell Lau was my immediate boss.
I've known Steve Teruya for 40 years, and my getting acquainted with Steve started when he was a branch manager. In fact, he was so outstanding. He was the branch of the year for 3 years consecutively. So we're quite impressed with him. We asked him to go into the IT area, and we asked him to help us bring up an entire computer system to modernize and automate Finance Factors. So Steve was able to do an incredible job on the automation system. And we were thrilled by how he was able to motivate people, how he was able to organize and keep our branches performing well. And he did a superb job in really keeping us moving forward. But we saw bigger and better things for Steve. I picked Steve to be the president of Finance Factors because of his creativity, his hard work, his ingenuity in coming up with different problem-solving solutions for our company.
And so back then, I remember Hiram Fong saying, let's give the boy a chance. The 45-year-old employee running the branches, and I remember he said, let's give the boy a chance. So starting then, Russell Lau and I ran the company for the next 23 years until I retired in February of 2020.
Steve is such a great guy that after he retired, his knowledge of our company, it was so great that we, in fact, included him and added him to our board of directors. And so, whereas I used to be his boss, now he is my boss, and I have to listen to him even more than before. So I very much appreciate that Steve's willing to continue to work with me, our family of companies, and understands us and what we are doing.
I was a member of the Japanese Chamber starting in 1992, and I was not actively involved at all. I participate in their annual Samurai Golf Classic, and that was the extent of my involvement. But in 2010, when things kind of lightened up at work, I agreed to get involved. So I got involved with the Japanese Chamber. And the one thing you realize very quickly in a volunteer organization is you start asking too many questions or coming up with too many ideas, they start moving you into leadership positions. So before I knew it, I was in the executive committee, in a leadership position. The Japanese Chamber was starting to look for someone to succeed current President Wayne Ishihara. I had no plans of taking on the job after I retired. I mean, I was going to travel with my wife and enjoy retirement. But I got asked by a number of people within leadership at the organization or the chamber to consider the position multiple times. And then I finally agreed to apply for the position. Effective February 1st of 2022, became officially on the payroll of the Japanese Chamber as president and CEO. And the experience has been actually wonderful. It's way more than I expected. I'm way busier than I was at Finance Factors. Finance Factors, I had a very big staff. But at the Chamber, there's just 4 of us, me and 3 others. But I can tell you the staff is excellent. They're the backbone of the organization. So it made my transition from Finance Factors to the Chamber so much easier.
Working closely with Steve, I found Steve to be extremely knowledgeable, experienced. He had high energy and just a can-do attitude. Steve has a proactive and strategic mindset, along with a collaborative leadership style, which allowed the organization to move swiftly past the post-pandemic crises. Some of the things that was achieved was significant during the year. We implemented a refresh of our strategic plan. Steve used his design thinking experience and knowledge to help guide the conversation, to help the board and membership focus on top priorities. We recruited 160 new members for the organization. We increased the corporate membership from 18 to 43, 680 members, which is the highest total in 14 years. All this couldn't have been done without the guidance and focus and solid leadership and management by Steve Teruya.
So, we have a great organization, founded in 1900. We're going to be celebrating our 125th in a couple of years. So I think looking at the Chamber and its composition and the mix of its members, I think that we're at this inflection point where we've got up-and-coming young members, and we've got legacy members, and we're getting an increased number of corporate members now joining the organization. So we have these 3 big constituencies that I think we've got to see how we can blend in to keep the organization sustained through the future.
I hear you getting an award, Steve. I'm happy for you, and I'm sure you deserve it. It's something you beat me at, but congratulations.
Hey, Steve, congratulations. This is an honor and recognition well deserved. You've done a great job with your family, with our company, with the community, with your church. You're a terrific guy, and we wish you and Cynthia the very best for a long and prosperous life. Thank you for working with us, and Steve, congratulations.
Steve, congratulations. This Outstanding Achievement Award is a reflection of your positive and action-oriented abilities to exceed expectations in everything that you do, in contributing to the success of our community and for the organizations for which you serve.
Yeah, I really want to thank those in attendance today for your support. You know, when you receive any award, you hope that there's people that's going to show up, and you know, the response for me has been overwhelming, and I'm really appreciative of all of those that are here present and those not present but contributed to the Legacy Award. I mean, very appreciative. I want to thank my family for their support, my wife especially for putting up with this feral chicken all these years. You know, without her, there's no way I could have succeeded in the manner that I've done, because she's supported me along the way, you know, in good and bad times. So I really appreciate it.